Welcome to Storyteller, where I find the wildest stories from true crime, dark history, to spooky folktales and tales of corruption. And Teresa hears it all for the first time. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Teresa.
And do I have a story for you?
Ooh.
All right, so I hope you like this one. It's not a true crime. No more murder for a little bit. Till next week. You're gonna have fun. It's fun. So the young woman kept her eyes averted as the angered, dignified, middle-aged gentleman scanned the room, searching for the culprit. It was May 12, 1908, and the 20-something woman had just pulled a prank on a complete stranger inside the public gallery of the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. And what made the joke even more incredible was who the offender was: Alice Roosevelt, the eldest daughter of the 26th President of the United States, Teddy Roosevelt. It was hardly the first, and certainly not the last time, the rebellious Alice made her presence known entirely on her own terms. This prank was classic Alice, spirited, mischievous, and absolutely unconcerned with the social conventions of her time. Her father once famously quipped, "I can either run the country or I can tend to Alice, but I cannot possibly do both." And honestly, he wasn't wrong. This is the story of Alice Roosevelt, the first daughter who became one of America's earliest celebrities, and what her life reveals about fame, power, and the rebellion at the turn of the 20th century. I've always found her really fascinating, and I was like, we're diving in. Yeah. Let's meet Alice's parents. Her mother, Alice Hathaway Lee Roosevelt, was a Boston banking heiress. Her father, Teddy Roosevelt, you may have heard of him, was serving time as a New York State assemblyman. Alice was born into a dynasty, one that was only beginning to take shape but remains recognizable today as an Oyster Bay Roosevelt.
Oyster Bay?
Oyster Bay Roosevelt.
Okay.
Yeah.
She sounds like old money.
Yeah. I'm like, ooh.
Not that new money shit. No.
She was also a descendant of the prominent Schuyler family. The Oyster Bay Roosevelts, the branch represented by President Teddy Roosevelt and his children, were politically opposed to their cousins, the Hyde Park Roosevelts.
Yeah.
Sound like new money. They were old money. The branch that would eventually produce Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So, yeah, there's the Teddy Roosevelt side, and then there's this other, the Hyde Park, and later we'll see FDR emerges from the Hyde Park gang.
That tracks.
I have nothing to go on, but yeah. Landmarks of the Oyster Bay family still stand today, including Sagamore Hill, Teddy Roosevelt's home that he built. Alice's parents had a deep, intense love for one another, something that comes through clearly in the way Teddy wrote to his wife and when he would talk about her. But there's still letters that he would write to her, and he is a stage 5 clinger. Go Teddy. He called her my sweetest and my purest queen and expressed nearly a worshipful devotion. He wrote things like, "I worship you so that it seems almost a desecration to touch you." His letters and diaries were filled with minute details about her smiles, her expressions, their imagined future. It was clear he was completely consumed by her. And so it was no surprise that 3 years into their marriage, Alice became pregnant. Elder Alice. So not baby Alice.
That's good.
Yeah. In case you were wondering. Alice Lee Roosevelt was born on February 12th, 1884 in the family home at 6 West 57th Street in Manhattan. At the time, Teddy was in Albany serving in the state assembly. He received the news by telegram, and he was surrounded by cheers and congratulations from his colleagues. Like, he wasn't running home at this point. He's like, I'll leave at the end of the day. But there was big cheers. You know, he read the letter out loud, and everyone was super excited for him.
Yay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, big softies. But later the same day, a second telegram arrived. And unlike the joyful first one, this one was filled with terror.
Oh, no.
Without saying a word, Teddy sprinted out of the chamber and ran for the train station. Like he just booked it out of there. The 5-hour train ride back to Manhattan was agony. When he arrived home at midnight, he found both his wife and his mother dying.
What?
Alice had developed Bright's disease, or kidney failure, which had remained hidden during her pregnancy. His mother was suffering from typhoid fever. She died first.
Oh, my gosh.
Alice lingered for several hours more, dying in her husband's arms on February 14th, 1884, just hours after her mother-in-law. What remained, or rather, who remained, was Teddy and his newborn daughter, Alice.
No, well, that's good, but that's so sad.
So sad. So he was like...
Especially with how much he worshipped her and everything.
Yes. So he was a prolific writer. Like everyone says that Thomas Jefferson wrote, he was the letter writing president. He just wrote so many words, but Teddy Roosevelt wrote way more than Thomas Jefferson. And so in his, daily, he had a journal diary, and he would write in it long-winded every aspect of his day. And on this day, he wrote in that diary just a giant X, and it said, "The light has gone out of my life." And that was it.
Oh,
it
Teddy.
is heartbreaking. You can see this. There's a picture of that entry, and it's like a stab to the heart. Yeah. So he was so consumed by grief that he rarely spoke of his wife again. He refused to allow her name to be mentioned in his presence, removed all references of her from his diary, and even left her out of his autobiography. He burned almost all their letters. Because of this pain,
sad.
It is really sad. So, which is, it's aggravating, but I've never been in that situation, so I'm trying not to judge.
Yeah.
But damn, man. So, because of his pain, he could not bring himself to call his newborn daughter Alice, that had been named after her mother. Instead, she was called Baby Lee. She maintained that distance throughout her life, later preferring to be called simply Miss L. Seeking escape from his grief, Teddy left New York and went west, spending nearly 2 years on his ranch in North Dakota. And honestly, Teddy's Western adventures are wild enough for their own episode someday, so we may circle back, because he was fucking crazy.
Like wrestle a bear and stuff.
He did all sorts of wild stuff. Like people would like make fun because he wore glasses, and some guy, I think in a saloon one time, like made fun of his glasses, and he was like, "I'll fucking kill you." And the guy was
punch
like,
in the throat.
"I believe you." I'm so sorry. So he left his infant daughter in the care of his sister Anna Roosevelt, known to the family as Bammy. The letters he wrote to Bammy show his deep affection for the little girl. In one from 1884, he wrote, "I hope Mousekins is very cunning. I shall dearly love her." Bammy played a major role in Alice's early years and became a powerful influence. Alice later said if Aunt Bai, they called her Bai instead of Bammy sometimes, had been a man, she would have been president. So apparently, she
I like
was
that.
Spicy. Since her father never spoke of her mother, Alice learned about her only through Bammy or other family members on her mother's side when she did get to see them. She lived with her aunt in a book-filled Manhattan home until Teddy remarried. On December 2nd, 1886, Teddy married Edith Kermit Caro. Edith and Teddy had once been childhood sweethearts. Like it said that pretty much their whole teen years, they were an item, something at very least.
More than likely, he was thought to be married. He was going to marry her or something kind of deal.
Absolutely, yes. And then,
so how did Alice come along?
So they were childhood sweethearts. Though they had a painful falling out in their teenage years, and they just like cut off all ties for a couple of years. And it was during these ties, or when they were cut off, that Teddy met Alice and was just smitten kitten. The reasons for the breakup aren't entirely clear. Some say Edith rejected a proposal. Others blame the Roosevelts' disapproval of Charles Caro's alcoholism. So that's Edith's dad. And some believe Teddy and Edith simply clashed too strong in temperament. Whatever the reason, they went their separate ways. Like they had this big falling out in like the gazebo at their summer homes or something. They did rekindle their friendship in 1879, but by then Teddy was already engaged to Alice Hathaway Lee. Edith even hosted a dinner in their honor and attended their wedding, even though she was very cold towards Alice. I guess she was like, congrats. Yeah. After that, she didn't see Teddy for more than a year. He intentionally avoided her, afraid that... so after Alice died, she didn't see Teddy for a year after Alice died. He intentionally avoided her, afraid that rekindled feelings would betray his wife's memory. So he was like, I'm going out.
What wife's memory? He deleted it all.
I know. So
he burnt everything.
Crazy. Yeah. I used to, when I was first going through this, I thought, I wonder if he, like, when he got older, he was, like, sad that he had been so, just wiped her memory essentially off the face of the earth. But there's times in his later years, like even when he was president, that men would lose their wives, and he essentially would tell these men, like, you'll never fucking recover. Like, he was, that's essentially all he would say about Alice, but he'd be like, good luck surviving. So, yeah. He apparently never regretted what he did. So, when he returned to New York in September 1885, he happened upon Edith at Bammy's house. I bet she just happened.
Happenstance, huh?
And yes, historians debate that whether that chance encounter was quite as accidental as it seemed. The relationship restarted quickly. They became secretly engaged that November, worried about public reaction to the speed of his remarriage. They spent months apart. Edith helped her family move to Europe, and Teddy was tending to business on the frontier before reuniting in London to marry at St. George's, Hanover Square on December 2nd, 1886. So it said that Theodore planned...
How old is Alice at this point?
I want to say she's like 6, around that age. Okay. No, maybe she's only 2 or 3 then, because I think it's only a couple years after Alice has died. Okay. So, it said that Theodore planned for Bammy to formally adopt baby Lee, but Edith refused. She reportedly said, she is your daughter, now she'll be our daughter and sister to whatever children we have.
Good job,
Edith. With that, little Alice returned to live with her father and stepmother, gaining 5 half-siblings, Ted, Kermit, Ethel, Archie, and Quentin.
Kirby.
Edith's gesture to say that no, Alice will be part of our family was noble in theory, but it may have not been the best outcome for anyone. Removing Alice from Bammy created a lifelong tension between Edith and her stepdaughter. Alice was very happy with Bammy. She had come to be comfortable there. And there was some butting of heads.
So she must have been a little bit older, because the age of 2 and 3, she wouldn't have really noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alice's personality was shaped by many factors: Edith's coldness, her father's emotional distance, and the shadow of the mother that she never knew. Edith, who had known Alice's mother, often dismissed her as beautiful but insipid, childlike woman. She told young Alice that if her mother had lived, she would have bored your father to death. Edith,
what kind of cat?
Edith was painfully aware that Theodore had this lingering love for his first wife. He may not talk about her, but I think it was pretty evident. Teddy's still down bad about Alice. And she sometimes shunned Alice because she was a living reminder of that love. And Teddy did
this. Would accidentally say her name in the bedroom.
Ew, dog.
Get off me.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, but not good. Teddy would actually do the same thing to Alice. So he saw her through a lens of grief. As a result, Alice grew into someone who was fiercely headstrong, persistent, and independent, traits that she would become famous for. During her teenage years, Teddy and Edith proposed sending a wild in Alice to a very conservative boarding school, and Alice responded by threatening her father, Teddy Roosevelt, saying, "If you send me, I will humiliate you. I will do something that will shame you. I tell you I will." Yes, queen. So, yeah, it's nice to know that people even like the Roosevelts had to deal with angsty teens.
Honestly, let's just send her back to Bammy.
I know. I guess they would. I guess that became the next thing to do. They'd be like, we need some time apart, and you're going to Bammy's.
Yeah.
And so, after the boarding school didn't work out. One thing most 17-year-olds don't want to have to deal with is becoming a full-blown celebrity and fashion icon overnight. But Alice did. Luckily for her, she was 1,000% in her element when her father became president. Following the 1901 assassination of President William McKinley in Buffalo, her father took office, an event she greeted with what she called sheer rapture. So poetic. And just 4 months later, Alice made her grand entrance into Washington society. On January 3rd, 1902, the Roosevelt White House hosted her debutante ball, one of the first large social events in the new administration. So that is a baller move to have your debutante ball in the fucking White House. It was at this debut that she wore a gown in the shade that would become known as Alice Blue, sparkling a nationwide trend in women's fashion and even inspiring a hit song called Alice Blue Gown. So
I don't think I've ever heard of Alice Blue.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's something like this. But we're
going to find out here in a second.
We got Google on it.
Yeah.
So debutante balls were traditional for daughters of high society, a way to formally present them as eligible for marriage. But most young ladies did not get the benefit of the White House backdrop. Alice did, and she used the opportunity to shine. She even scheduled the ball strategically right after Christmas, so eligible young men home from school could attend her debutante ball. Did you find it?
Maybe. So all of these are considered Alice Blue.
Oh, those are all very different.
So
it's kind of I don't know what you would call that. I'll do some more research and I'll put it on our social media for sure. Yeah. The event took place in the East Room of the White House with around 600 guests in attendance. Alice danced to music performed by the United States Marine Band and was partnered with many prominent young men of society, including her distant cousin, Hyde Park, that no good Hyde Park, no, 19-year-old Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The ball was touted as an event unlike anything seen since the days of Dolly Madison, and it launched Alice into a lifelong relationship with the press. Her picture appeared on postcards that fans collected and traded like they were trading baseball cards or sports memorabilia. She also
pictures of Alice. That's cute.
I know. I'm like, what? Incredible. She also inspired more popular songs, including the Alice Roosevelt March and the Alice Roosevelt Waltz. The press nicknamed her Princess Alice, and with that, her celebrity status was officially born. So we're going to talk now about her antics, scandal, rebellion, and public persona. There's really not like an actual, well, never mind. I was going to say there's not like an actual scandal, but I'm lying about that. Never mind. Alice
Does it involve those Hyde Park Roosevelts?
No. Alice was the center of attention throughout her father's presidency, and she absolutely thrived on it. Girl was in her element. She was thriving. I was the daughter of an enormously popular president and the first girl in the White House since Nellie Grant, and I looked upon the world as my oyster, she wrote in her 1933 autobiography called Crowded Hours. And as we'll see, Alice was really having the time of her life during those years. Alice was known for breaking just about every social norm of her era. A Paris paper, the journal De Debutants, something like that, calculated that within just 15 months, she had attended 407 dinners, 350 balls, and 300 parties.
Oh my God.
She was booked and busy.
And back then they didn't wear the same dress either, so I imagine her tailor was probably
my God, rolling in the dough. I can't even imagine.
I need a gown for this ball. I need a gown for that ball.
I know. They would change like throughout the day too. Like that was just the nighttime thing. So the daytime,
they're dressed all fancy. Like I gotta go put my dinner attire on.
That's not your okay. I love in Downton Abbey. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but there's like one whole episode where their suits are missing or something like that, so they have to wear like white tie tuxes and stuff, and everyone is like, "Eh, God." I think the grandma, Dame Maggie, whatever her, I can't think of her last name now, but she turns to her son and she's like, "Oh God, I thought you were one of the help." I'm like, I don't see the difference between any of this. Okay. All of that energy came in handy in 1905 when Alice, along with her father's Secretary of War, William Howard Taft, led the American delegation to Japan, Hawaii, China, the Philippines, and Korea. It was the largest diplomatic mission of its kind to that point. 23 congressmen, 7 senators, diplomats, officials, and businessmen. And Alice, apparently. Alice was treated like royalty abroad and received so many gifts that her friend Willard D. Straight called her Alice in Plunderland. Willard. I love it. So cunty. The American press adored her, and the trip was considered a major success. But of course, Alice did not put all that energy into just socially acceptable pursuits. Despite her constant presence in the press, she had zero interest in conforming to society's standards for young ladies. She jumped into her younger siblings' antics, wreaking havoc around the White House, sliding down stairways, moving through halls on stilts, and wore the whole chaotic Roosevelt child package. Like, she was doing whatever her younger siblings wanted her to do with them. She was like, hell yeah. Good for you, Alice.
She was like a good sibling then. Yeah. She's playing with, her brothers and sisters.
Yes. And everyone's like, oh my God, she was on stilts. Worse than that, though, she smoked cigarettes in public. Sometimes even on the roof of the White House. Oh. She rode in cars with men, unmarried men.
Was she unchaperoned, though?
Yes. Alice.
Oh, there is scandal.
Scandal. She stayed out late partying, placing bets with a bookie, and had a pet snake named Emily Spinach. Emily after her spinster aunt, and spinach for its green color. And she kept this Emily Spinach in her purse. And just would be like, you want to meet Emily? I love her. And yes, Emily Spinach lived in the White House right alongside everyone in the Roosevelt family. Alice rarely bothered to follow the strict rules that the White House officials thought were appropriate for her first daughter. She lived exactly as she wished, and her choices ended up being splashed across every tabloid in America and overseas. She even publicly pronounced herself a pagan and once described Christianity as sheer voodoo. She had strong political opinions too. I know. I'm like, yes, girl. One White House visitor complained that Alice constantly barged into the president's office to offer her own political advice to the president. She's like 19 or 20 at this stage. She often interrupted a conversation. After she interrupted a conversation for the third time, Teddy Roosevelt finally snapped. He threatened to throw her out the window and then said to his friend Owen Wister, I can either run the country or I can attend to Alice, but I cannot possibly do both. So that's what brought that statement on. Many critics thought Alice was an embarrassment for refusing to follow the rigid social norms placed on women, but her supporters far outweighed her detractors. In fact, the White House mailroom had to hire an extra receptionist solely to handle the massive amount of fan mail that Alice received. Iconic.
That is.
Love her. So now we're going to learn about her transition into adult life. Stepping back to the large peace delegation tour that Alice went on in 1905, one of the men on that tour was her friend and love interest, Ohio Representative Nicholas Longworth. Donald C. Bacon once described Longworth as debonair and aristocratic, the kind of man who wore spats. Spats, I had to look this up because I was like, the fuck is that? Those are like the weird little white, almost, they go over your shoes and then they button on the side.
Okay.
That's a spat. You're welcome.
I love a good pair of spats.
Ooh la la, spats. That's hot. That ankle. And he carried a gold-headed cane. He was perpetually cheerful, quick with a joke or witty retort, and unfailingly friendly. He seemed to never have a care in the world and made hard decisions with such ease and detachment that some people wondered if anything really mattered to him. And all I can say to that is, he must have been rich.
Yeah.
Whenever I see people who are like, whatever, I'm like, oh, you got money.
Money.
Yeah, you got big money. Yeah. A scion of a socially prominent Ohio family, Longworth was 14 years older than Alice and had a reputation as a Washington, D.C. playboy.
I was going to say playboy.
His background and aspirations fit perfectly within Alice's own social environment, and months of traveling together in Asia cemented their budding relationship. The tour concluded with Alice privately agreeing to marry Congressman Longworth. After weeks of speculation, the engagement was finally officially announced on December 13th, 1905, and people from around the country sent Alice gifts and congratulations. She loved the press coverage and scrapbooked all of it. So she's like in her room. Yeah.
The OG scrapbooker.
I know. Rumors, well wishes, reports about the wedding preparations, and even clippings about her future husband's congressional activities. By the time she married Nicholas on February 17th, 1906, her wedding had completely dominated the news cycle. Just something to note as we're talking about this, pay attention to the February dates. So much happens to the Roosevelts in fucking February. Like, these people are, I'll get into it more in a bit, but February, I would have stayed inside, I think. The wedding took place in the newly renovated East Room of the White House around 11 o'clock in the morning. Foreign dignitaries, Supreme Court justices, member of Congress, and distinguished guests filed in. Teddy Roosevelt gave his daughter away, and Washington's Episcopalian Bishop Henry Yates Satterley performed the noon ceremony. Oh my God.
So she's not pagan anymore, or she
probably just had to. I'm sure she was forced. Okay. Yeah. It was attended by more than 1,000 guests, with that many thousands more gathered outside hoping to catch a glimpse of the bride. Alice met fashion expectations with her glamorous Edwardian-inspired silhouette, heavy white satin, antique point lace from her mother, Alice Lee's own wedding dress.
Oh, that didn't get burnt up, huh?
I guess not. Thank God. A court train, so super long, and then orange blossoms embellished the dress. Afterwards, the Longworths hosted a wedding breakfast where, in true Alice fashion, she cut the wedding cake with a sword of a military aide. Once the wedding concluded, Alice was no longer a child of the White House. After their honeymoon trip to Cuba, they traveled to England and the continent, having dinners with King Edward VII of the United Kingdom, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, and a whole bunch of other important people that I had never heard of before. After this whirlwind, the Longworths returned to Washington and began their life together. Back in Washington, the marriage looked like a success on paper, as they usually do. Nicholas was a rising Republican star who had become Speaker of the House, and Alice was a shrewd political hostess. Together, they formed a formidable and influential Washington presence. But as with any good old-fashioned marriage between wealthy, politically connected people, the marriage was mostly a farce. It was not great. Alice publicly supported her father's Bull Moose presidential I'll just start over.
No, you were doing so good.
No, was it? After Alice publicly supported her father's Bull Moose presidential run in the 1912 election, well, her husband stayed loyal to his mentor, President William Howard Taft, and was running for re-election on the Republican ticket. During that cycle, Alice even appeared on stage with her father's vice presidential candidate, Hiram Johnson, in Longworth's own district. Longworth lost by 101 votes, and Alice joked that she was worth at least 100 of them.
Oh!
Bitch. He was elected again in 1914 and stayed in the House the rest of his life, but the damage was done. Alice's campaign against her husband caused a permanent chill in their marriage.
Surprised that she would marry somebody that was so on opposite sides of the political.
Yeah, or wasn't like someone in her father's inner circle or something, so got a little frosty after that. During their marriage, Alice carried on numerous affairs. It was general knowledge in Washington that she had a long, ongoing affair with Senator William Borah of Idaho. Longworth himself had numerous affairs as well, but unlike Alice, he didn't have any illegitimate children. Alice's daughter, Paulina, was born 18 years into their marriage and was likely fathered by
18 years?
18 years into their marriage, and likely fathered by Senator Borah, a lineage that could...
So that whole 18 years, they didn't have any kids together?
Have any kids.
And all of a sudden, poof, you got kid.
A surprise, shorty.
Okay.
Yeah. That couldn't be acknowledged publicly during this time, but after Alice's death, her diaries were given to her historians to be studied, and it reveals that she knew fully well that Paulina was Borah's child. Allegedly, she even joked to friends that she wanted to name the child Deborah, as in Deborah. And thankfully decided against it. Alice. A quick note. Paulina was born on February 14th, Valentine's Day, but this was also the day with the bizarre significance in Teddy Roosevelt's line. Teddy and his first wife, Alice, Alice's mother, were engaged on Valentine's Day. And when Alice Sr. was pregnant, Teddy was convinced that the baby would be born on their engagement anniversary. Instead, baby Alice arrived on February 12th, and 2 days later, on February 14th, Teddy lost both his wife and mother. So, do what you will with all that symbolism, but I had to mention it after learning that Paulina was born on the 14th of February. So
that's crazy.
It is crazy. So, and I think there's something else that comes up, but I guess we'll see. Surprise to all of us. Historians agree that although Longworth doted on Paulina and was delighted by her birth, he certainly knew that Senator Borah was her father, but it didn't seem to stop him. He was just like, this is my child. So good for him on that.
Well, obviously you can't have kids.
Yeah. I mean, he
didn't have
18 years.
Yeah, and he didn't have any illegitimate children with his affairs and stuff, so that just tells me that
he knew.
He's shooting blank, so if he's going to have a kid.
I better accept this one. Yeah. Even with everything going on, the Longworths remained married until Nicholas' death in 1931, a testament to their ability to navigate their public roles and personal complications. So they were always like in public together. They always, I think after Alice's first little thing, she was pretty supportive of him. I think she did have a tinge of feeling bad after. Yeah. But not much, but a little. Enough to be like, I'll stand by my man kind of thing. So after his death, Alice maintained her Washington home and her position near the center of national politics and capital social life. She campaigned against her fifth cousin, once removed, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and her scathing imitation of her first cousin, Eleanor, became a favorite entertainment in the Republican circles during the long New Deal period. So I think before I really dove into the Roosevelts, I assumed that Eleanor Roosevelt was Roosevelt because she married FDR. No, Eleanor is Alice's first cousin. That Eleanor Roosevelt has always been Eleanor Roosevelt. And then she married her fifth cousin, FDR. So she still was.
Eleanor was an Old Bay Roosevelt, though.
Oyster Bay, yep.
Oyster Bay, yeah,
yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so, I was like, oh, they're cousins. Okay, at least I guess they're like fifth cousins.
Yep, I would have thought the same thing. I thought that she was married into the name.
Right, yeah, I didn't know that. And stuff. There's on PBS, because I'm really cool, there's a great like Ken Burns Roosevelt thing, and it explains everything. And I was like, wait. And I don't condone her being mean to Eleanor, because Eleanor was great. She was a baddie in her own right and overall excellent human being. But politically, FDR and Eleanor were polar opposites from Alice. Like, they were very different. So it was very frosty between those two. She never really supported him. And yeah, doesn't matter about their last name, not they were family. She was like, I hate them.
Not doing it.
Yeah. A fiercely outspoken Republican, Alice treated her cousin FDR with disdain during all 4 of his presidential campaigns, even without her father or husband. And despite never entering politics herself, she remained firmly in the political sphere for the rest of her life. She was very loud about how she felt all the time.
Good for her.
Yeah. She could form either warm or absolutely hateful relationships with the sitting presidents and their inner circles. She was especially fond of Richard Nixon. befriending him during his time as vice president under Eisenhower and supporting him through his 1960 campaign against Kennedy and in his 1968 run against Humphrey. She can actually be heard on the Nixon White House tapes ranting about the incompetence of George McGovern. As for the Kennedy years, Alice unleashed the same withering commentary she had once reserved for her own cousin FDR. She did stray from the Republican loyalty only twice. She voted for Lyndon Johnson in 1964 and advocated on behalf of Bobby Kennedy in 1968, which I get because the Bobby Kennedy thing, he was my favorite Kennedy, even if he did produce RFK Jr. A lot of attention was given to Alice's political involvement, her wit, her charm, and her ability to not give a single fuck. There's been another part of her story that doesn't get talked about nearly as much, and that's Alice as a mother. And alas, this is the area where she did not shine. In fact, her treatment of her daughter should be looked upon with 100 times more disdain than what she threw at FDR. Independent Alice was into herself, not motherhood. She considered little Paulina a bothersome nuisance. She bullied her only child to the point that Paulina developed a stutter, which noticeably worsened in her mother's presence. Oh. Not great. A strict, compassionless nanny took on most of the child rearing. Alice demanded that shy Paulina act like an extrovert, then sabotaged her by making her wear drab, homely dresses. Paulina remained self-conscious, insecure, and stuttering throughout her youth. Her life did take a dramatic turn when she met Alexander Sturm, a dashing Yale graduate, author, artist, entrepreneur, and true Renaissance man. From a wealthy, social, prominent family himself, Alexander had no problem standing up to Alice and became the protector for fragile Paulina.
Good.
Yeah, so he was like, back it up.
See, she really did have a weird childhood, though, because her mom died, and then she was with her, look Bammy, at her that she loved, and then she got taken away from Bammy, and then they were like, oh, you're just a stark reminder of what was, and
so
we don't really even want you here, but we're still going to keep you here.
Yeah, and so things weren't great for Alice, and I'm sure she didn't really have a lot to go off of when raising her own child. So.
I always hate, though, when there's like a mean mom, that there's always also a mean nanny. Like, why can't the nanny be compassionate and give her the motherly love that she needs? Like, why does it always have to be like everyone's just mean?
Yeah, everyone's an asshole. They married in August 1944, moved to Connecticut, and built a new life together. They welcomed a daughter in 1946, and Paulina was every bit the mother Alice had not been. It finally seemed like Paulina had found the golden life she'd been denied in childhood until 1951, when Alexander died unexpectedly at the age of 28. Paulina fought against the pull of depression. She converted to Catholicism and she poured herself into Catholicism. She converted to Catholicism, poured herself into volunteer work, and became even more devoted to her daughter. But none of it was enough. The Washington princess's story came to a tragic end on January 27, 1957, when she died from an overdose of sleeping pills. Republican royalty to the end, Vice President Richard Nixon served as a pallbearer at her funeral. She was only 31. And if there's one positive development after her death, to everyone's surprise, Alice Roosevelt Longworth asked to raise her young granddaughter and fought for and won custody. Perhaps she realized far too late the toll of her selfishness had taken on Paulina. Maybe Joanna, Paulina's daughter, offered her a genuine chance at redemption, and it seems Alice actually succeeded in the second round of motherhood. In the 1969 American Heritage article, Joanna Sturm, then 22, was described as a highly attractive and intellectual young woman and as a notable contributor to Miss Longworth's youthfulness. Their bond was described as twin cables of devotion and a healthy respect for each other's tongue. So they were both really sassy. Miss L, as Alice preferred to be called, was, according to a friend, a wonderful father and mother to Joanna. Mostly father. But I love the redemption arc of Alice. So I'm glad that she realized she must have.
No, I wouldn't even. I was like, hell no, you don't get a chance at her.
I know.
Like, if I was Andrew's mother, I would be like, I would have stepped in. Like, she is coming to our side of the family. Like, fuck you. You screwed your daughter up so badly.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that it all really worked out. So Alice's legacy, in the end, Alice Roosevelt became a celebrity because she embodied a contradiction the whole country was obsessed with. Like, she's this essential royalty within America and absolutely doing whatever the fuck she wanted. So everyone's like, we're obsessed. She was both an insider and an outsider, the daughter of a president who absolutely refused to play by presidential rules. Her entire life shows us how fame, politics, and rebellion all collided at this really pivotal moment in American history, and how one defiant young woman somehow became the symbol of a nation teetering right on the edge of modern times. And her longevity is incredible. She lived from 1884 to 1980.
I was gonna say, it seemed like she was around
forever. Girl would not die.
She's like January.
She's the January of people. She nearly lived a full century, so that's pretty crazy. She watched America transform through massive political, cultural, and social shifts. Like, I can't even imagine her view on the 60s and that. And her life ends up being a perfect lens to look through as you track how norms have changed over all of those decades. After many years of ill health, Alice died in her Embassy Row house on February 20th, 1980, again with February dates. She passed 8 days after her 96th birthday from pneumonia. She had been Teddy Roosevelt's first child, and she was the last of his children to die, which is very on brand for her. Jimmy Carter was the sitting president when Alice passed, even though she had declined to meet him because, in her view, he lacked a certain social grace. In the official statement marking her death, President Carter wrote, "She had style, she had grace, and she had a sense of humor that kept generations of political newcomers to Washington wondering which was worse, to be skewered by her wit or to be completely ignored by her." And speaking of that razor-sharp wit, do you want to hear some of my favorite scathing quips from Alice?
No, I'm good.
Immediately no. Immediately no. When Senator Joseph McCarthy jokingly introduced her as his blind date and said he was going to call her Alice, she immediately shot back, "Senator McCarthy, you are not going to call me Alice. The truckman, the trash man, and the policeman on my block may call me Alice, but you may not." Bitch, I love it. I'm also obsessed over the time she told President Lyndon B. Johnson that she only wore wide-brimmed hats specifically so he couldn't kiss her. Or when when the well-known Washington senator was caught having an affair with a woman less than half his age, Alice quipped, "You can't make a souffle rise twice." And that is the story of Alice Roosevelt. She's great. I mean, she had some things she didn't do so great.
For the whole motherly thing.
I know.
I don't love that about her.
No, I'm glad that she did have a bit of a redemption arc.
Like every president sought her approval too. Like, ooh, gotta go see Alice. And,
yes, it seems like I think there was only 2 presidents during her whole life that she didn't personally meet, and it sounds like it was her decision.
She snubbed them. Yeah.
And she was like, I'm good. Damn girl. So she's batty. Thank you so much for listening to Storyteller. Tell your friends, follow us on social media where we're also hilarious, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Now I'm ready. Sorry, I was just doing Google searches.